Pretty simple process to do this. This is it right here. Let me grab the embed code. And that's all that is required to make that happen. Back over here, drop the source in there. And now that will be fully functional, and we'll skip out of that. All right. Now, today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to monetize your community. So if you've got an ecosystem, we call that a community. You have an ecosystem that there is engagement taking place in. It's fairly easy to monetize that. So we're going to walk through the steps of that. But before I do, I want to show you something that we're doing over here, and it's continuing to grow. We've got this resources section right here. And last week, I put this PDF file in the resources so you can download that PDF file and on creating engaging communities. And then here, I just added this today, and this is creating a social media lookalike audience. So if you want your community to function like a social media platform, like a Facebook or something like that, then this is not a step-by-step, but just a quick high-level overview. I think it's a 5-minute video that will walk you through the process of creating your community to do and function like a Facebook platform would do. We talked about Facebook last week. Kind of got beat up by YouTube. YouTube did not like me doing that. I don't know why, but but I took that content and then I'm sorry, I didn't take the content. I took the concept and created a social media lookalike audience here, so people would know how to do that. Eventually, we're going to take a really deep dive on that, but for right now, I just want you to see this so you can understand how this platform functions in that capacity. Okay. Now, let's get back to the agenda, and we'll walk through the agenda. Your agendas for every week is right here, so always make sure that you check that. If you're watching the replay or something like that, so you can kind of keep track of the agenda. The definition of value is going to be key. The way you turn engagement into revenue is that you prioritize value over dollars. There's a big difference between value and dollars, but value is defined as whatever the customer understands will advance his or her journey. That's valuable to them. They're trying to get from here to there, and value is what they need in order to get them on that journey. And the only thing that they find that's valuable are things that are going to get them on that journey. Now, that brings up a really great question. What is value? Well, years ago, that's about 2017. I put down years ago because 27 seems like a long time ago. And it was 18 years ago. I was a senior trainer for an insurance company, and value was the buzzword of the day. It was everywhere. We had value propositions, and we had value statements, and we had value-added services. Ask somebody to define that, and they couldn't. They could tell you what the value-added services were, but they couldn't tell you what the value was. They could tell you what the value statement was, but they couldn't tell you what value that had to the person that was on the journey. That's always important, that you understand that if the customer doesn't see value in any of those things, it doesn't matter. Value is what the customer sees, and the value that it brings, and what it does to help them to get on their journey. Does that make sense? What is value? It is what the customer sees as being beneficial to get them on their journey. Does that make sense to everybody? I got to find a way to get my chat up here. Hang on. I'm sorry. Let's see here. Got to get my chat up here. Sorry about that. Let me take care of the chat so I can see what people are saying. Won't do me any good to ask a question, but if I don't have a way to do that. Yeah, the only point in providing value is to help somebody to get from here to there, where they want to go. Other than that, you're just pitching product. You're just selling stuff. When I talk about monetizing a community, I'm not talking about just selling stuff. That's not our goal. That's not what we want to do. What we want to do instead is we want to provide great value and get use that to get the customer along the way. So we're going to walk through some steps here of how we take that value proposition. That value is whatever the customer understands that will advance his or her journey. We're going to take that statement and we're going to walk that through the process here of how we do that. So let's do that now. Value over dollars. Customers have three basic questions about any offer. Always. They have three basic questions. What is it? What does your offer solve for a known problem? They have to know they have a problem, but what is it that's going to solve that? They need to understand what that is that's going to solve for their problem that they have an awareness of. So that's the first thing. They want to know, what is it? You can give it a sexy name. You can give it all kinds of stuff. But if it doesn't answer that question, what is it? Doesn't make any difference. You know, it didn't take long for Google to become its own word. When the search engine, excuse me, today known as Google, named itself Google, it was like, what is that? But it didn't take very long to figure out what it is. And today, the word Google actually means search engine. And so what is it? No matter what you call it, it has to make sense. I talked to a guy who had a warehouse full of a product that he was trying to sell. He thought that was his business. It was not. It was his product. And I said, "But what is it?" And he said, "Well, it's." And he gave the name again. And I said, "That isn't going to help me. What is it? And what does it do for the customer?" Well, it helps them to exercise in the water. Isn't that kind of what people are doing when they're in the water anyhow? He was just completely lost. He did not understand what problem his product solved. And if you don't have that, you don't have anything. The second one is, what does it cost? And I'm not talking about $47.95. I'm talking about dollarization. And I'm going to write I have a whole series of articles on the point of dollarization, but I'm going to give you a real quick definition here of what dollarization is. Dollarization is the key to value. Before I was the senior sales trainer for an insurance company, prior to that time, so it was back between 1997 and 2007, I had I worked for a company that sold industrial spray equipment. Now, there's a world of product on that marketplace. Everybody was selling industrial spray equipment. They still do. There's all kinds of names in that business. And we had a rather unique slant on that. And I helped them to develop a product that could go into that industrial spray equipment. And that product then created, it took less time to accomplish what everybody else was doing. And so I realized that dollarization being the key to the value, being the key to value there, is they had to understand that in terms of dollars and cents. So whatever their shop time was, I could take a 12-hour process and cut it down to an hour and a half, which essentially gave them over 10 hours back every week. So if they could get 10 hours of time back, if your shop time is $75 an hour and you get 10 hours back, that's a $750 that you could make doing exactly the same thing that you were doing before. Now, my $600 product didn't sound so expensive. Dollarization was the key, and we had to set that in terms of what does the other person understand? How much time does it save them? Time is money. How much effort does it save them? How much of a learning curve does it have? All of those are the key to dollarization. I like dollarization better than ROI because dollarization makes sense. I can count it. I can see it. I can feel it. Anytime you mention the word dollar, you automatically know it looks like this. So, it puts value on it instantly. So what does it cost? Dollarization is the key. You have to help people to understand not what it costs, but what does it save them. And you don't start out with all that nonsense of what does it save you, but instead what you want to do is you want to focus on what value is this going to bring, because dollarization makes a huge difference to the business owner. I always tell them there's three things that you can do that will help to reduce your cost and increase your profitability. One is you can raise the price of your product. Pretty tough to do that more than 10%. and it's really difficult to do that. Number two is that you can reduce the cost of the goods that are sold. So you can reduce the amount of cost that's associated with that, but that's pretty hard to do more than 10% too. But the third thing is huge, and that is help your employees to be happy, because happy employees are 55% more productive than an unhappy employee. Dollarization is the key to giving people value. And then number three, what can I expect it to do? What can I expect it to do? If I'm going to have a huge learning curve, is it going to be worth the learning curve? If I make it easy to use, then I can expect it to work. I can expect it to work as it came out of the box. I can expect it to do, and by the box, I'm talking about however you deliver your product. But the ease of use, is it easy to use, or will it be complicated? Can I provide simple guides, either in the form of video? I showed you a simple guide a while ago, 5 minutes on that video. But it's in the resource section, so you can get access to that. That's a simple guide. Does it have a support system? One of the things that we've done to help create support systems is we've added the AI agent, so that you've got a way to get in contact with somebody or something that can guide you through the process and can answer questions and deal with issues along those lines. So what can you expect it to do? Whatever the product is, whatever the offer is, customers are always going to have those three basic questions. What is it? What does it cost? And what can I expect it to do? And the way in which you answer that really helps to monetize the product that you're offering, or whatever it is that you're offering, the service that you're offering, the goods that you're offering, whatever that might be. If you can answer those three questions in ways that make sense to the buyer, it will make all the difference in the world. Now let's talk about the refund death spiral, because I see refunds everywhere. I review, most of you know that I review support questions for a couple of businesses. And by reviewing the support questions, I get a real good idea of what people are doing and where the refunds are coming from. And I mean, when I say I review them, I do it to the tune of several hundred a week. And so I get a really clear picture as to why people are refunding. So let's talk about that for a moment. Refunds will kill your business. They will absolutely kill your business. When I was in the insurance business, we determined that in order for that insurance company to write a check, it cost them $27. So if you're offering a $27 product and you refund it, it didn't cost you you didn't just give back $27 and end up with zero. You were $27 in the hole. Refunds kill your business. It literally kills your business. Second reason why refunds kill your business is because your advertising is based upon your satisfaction rate. So if you have a lot of refunds and you're advertising on Facebook, Facebook will find that out. And what they'll do is they will make it impossible for you to get good cost on your ad spend. They'll kill your business. Here's some leading reasons why buyers are refunding. This is having read thousands of refund tickets. I'm always looking, what's the issue? And how can we solve that? What's the issue? And how can we solve that? That's my reason for doing that. So the leading reasons for buyers refunding is, number one, they misunderstood the product. They thought this product did something that it doesn't do. That's a real common problem, because people are spinning this out as if it were the greatest thing since sliced bread. They're spinning it out in a way that if you don't have to know anything, you don't have to do anything. You just buy this and money will start flowing into your account. And I've literally seen sales pages that said that. That's a total misunderstanding of the product if they thought that was going to happen, because it doesn't. But misunderstanding the product. Sometimes a product will say templates included. Well, they expect that template to walk them through everything that they need to know in order to set this up. That's not what it does. Template's simply going to be a form for you. That's it. That's all it's going to do. But they misunderstood what the product was. we have a product that helps people to develop their content in the form of an ebook and be sold on Kindle. Okay, and there's the thought that if you buy the product, that will automatically allow you to put that will set up your Kindle account, and all you have to do is just push publish and it'll go there. That's not possible. It's not even possible. It's misunderstanding the product. Well, one of the reasons why people misunderstand the product is the sales pages are bad. Understand sales pages failed to take into consideration what was going to be needed, so they misunderstand the product. Or this is my favorite one, and about half a dozen people who are offering products in a similar space are saying the same thing. You don't have to write a word. Yeah, you do. You have to have written it at some time. If you misunderstand or misrepresent the product, there's going to be a problem, and it'll lead to people refunding. And that's the most frequent one, is people misunderstood the product, or misunderstood the product capabilities, and misunderstood what the product could do. Now, there's several ways to solve that with an FAQ, with a webinar, with a demonstration, with a video that is not just picture perfect polished. Because a picture perfect polished video, and this is the way the vast majority of sales videos that you see are being done, and that is they are page shots, and they just simply click through the pages, and there, I did it in 2 minutes, or I did it in 7 minutes, or look at all the money that came in, or whatever it is. That's not a clear demonstration of the product. Misunderstanding the product is the number one reason by long ways for people refunding. Number two, misunderstood the terms. Now, what I mean by that is that if they're buying something that's monthly as opposed to a single purchase, that's a misunderstanding of the terms. You have to make that clear. And I'm going to tell you, many sales carts today do not make that clear. Misunderstanding the terms by adding a bump sale that they have to unadd at the checkout time leads to misunderstanding the terms, and people will refund. Now, I've used bump sales. I've never refunded a single penny on bump sales because it was very clear what the person was doing. Misunderstanding the terms. So that's one of the terms. Another term is they didn't know it was a subscription product, or they don't know what a subscription is. Now, believe it or not, that's true. I see that all the time. Misunderstood the terms. And then the third one, and these are the top three. Everything else kind of falls way down below that, but lack of support. Lack of support. I was working with a developer several years ago, and he said, I asked, I said, so what have you budgeted for support? Getting ready to launch this product. He said it doesn't need support. It's so easy, a 12-year-old could do it. Do I need to tell you that they're out of business now? No, they are. Because you can't assume that your product's going to need support. Well, I've said this for years. If you're selling anything more complicated than a Big Mac, you're going to need help. You're just going to need help. So those are the reasons why buyers refund. And anything that you can do to eliminate those things along the way, and we'll talk about how you structure to eliminate them at another time. But for right now, just understand these are the most common reasons why people refund. And refunding can kill your business. Now, once we've covered the purpose of value, this diminishes how rapidly do these things diminish the value of the product? They make it go away almost instantly. There's almost no value left when you have had any of those issues. Okay, so once you understand that proper value is here, and the reasons why people don't see value, then you can start to put the pieces together. All right. So typically, and I'm going to talk about funnels for just a minute. Funnels they've taken on a meaning of their own. I'm working on a platform which some of you have already joined. I'm working on a platform right now about funnels and funnel success. And I've worked with a gazillion different funnels, and I've worked with developers of 3 different funnel platforms. And I get the funnel process. I've trained on multiple different funnel platforms, but this was the original intent. The original intent was wonderful. And I agree with you, Don. I was going to open up a funnel today, and I just was not in the mood to open up a funnel and use it to break down. It is exhausting the way the funnels are being used today. But a typical funnel sequence, and the way that it was originally designed, was to create awareness about the product. Number 1, to create awareness about the product. People need to know that you have the answer to their problem. That, remember up here, what is it? Does it offer to solve for a known problem? They need to understand that your brand or your offer or your product is the solution to that problem. Okay? That awareness can take months. I'm not talking about just reading to the bottom of a 1,500 word sales letter. I'm talking about when they have an awareness that this is the person that I want to do business with because they understand my problem and they understand the solution and they understand what's going to take me to get to my goal. That's just the awareness stage. That's what keeps you from being one click from oblivion. And that is the awareness stage. Most funnels don't focus on that. You see a funnel and boom, instantly you're jumped in. You have before the fold, you have a sales button. Person doesn't know you. They don't know your brand. They don't know your offer. They're grabbing at something because it offers a promise, and they can't even explain what the promise is. And then they refund because they misunderstood the product. Number 2, interest. They engage and they seek more information. Now, there's a point at which people are seeking information and not doing anything. I understand that. I've been in sales most of my life, so I get that. The person that asked 15 questions the first time you see them, they're not looking for 14 answers. If they ask 15 questions, they don't understand their problem. They're trying to confuse you. But awareness, interest, they engage and they seek more information. They engage with the content. They seek more information. They understand what's being offered and they ask questions. Consideration. They compare options and evaluate your value proposition. They look to see. Instead of looking at the bells and whistles, you get a list of all the things that your product offers. Just focus on what benefit does it provide. And so they can compare those benefits and evaluate your value proposition. Now at the consideration stage, you're starting to understand that value is provided here. Now I understand what dollarization is. When I used to do sales events and we would do them twice in the same area a year, I would talk to hundreds of people the first time through. Second time through, I'd make hundreds of sales. Big difference between the two. They began to understand, asking more questions. They considered the options while I wasn't there. And I tell you, everybody's considering options while you're not there. Today, it is one click of a mouse and they can get answers to the questions that they're looking for. And they're seeking to see if you have what they're looking for. And then number 4, the intent. They show purchase intent, often through specific actions. I'll show you what I mean by that in just a minute, but you keep these things in mind. This is different than your traditional sales funnel today. This is what a funnel was intended to be. When we were talking about funnels 15 years ago, this is what we were talking about. And I think it's time that we return to this because this is really where the value is. And then the next step is they purchase. Transaction gets completed. We'll talk about how you do that with payment processors and all that kind of stuff later. But they actually follow through with the purchase. Now, this is interesting because most funnel diagrams will tell you that post-sale is optional. It is not optional. It's not optional. And answering questions for the first 30 days so that they won't refund and then not answering questions on day 31 doesn't help. You need to engage with the business because they're on a journey. How are you getting along? What can I do to help you? Have you looked at this? Did you consider that? And I'm not talking about sales. I'm just talking about trying to help them to get the job done. How do I help them on their journey? As Don said a while ago, that's why we're in business. That's why we do what we do. We're trying to help people get on a journey to their definition of success. All right, I'll stop here for just a second. Tell me if you think this is a slightly different approach to your typical sales funnel that slams you through your OTOs and your upsells and your downsells and your bump offers and your back ends and your front ends. And is this different than what you typically see in sales funnels in the entire sales process? You can turn on your mic or drop it in the chat, either one. Now, we have to stand out. We have got to be different. And this is very different. Most of the time, the sales funnels are about the company. People don't need to know about me. They need to know how I can help them. Big difference between the two. Big difference between the two. All right. Let's resolve some of those issues. I'm just going to give you 4. There could be a lot more, but I'm just going to give you 4. Excuse me. The know, like, and trust factor. Know, like, trust. People need to know you. They will get to the point where they'll like you. Hopefully, that should be the intention, is that they will like you. And then finally, they trust you. People do business with people that they know, like, and trust. And those 3 things can get violated so easily in your typical sales funnels today. And let me explain to you what I mean. The know. So people need to get to know me. But does that mean I talk about me? Or do I talk about how I can help? Big difference between the two. Your traditional webinar platform, which I abandoned years ago, say you spend the first 15 minutes talking about you and your successes. Be quite honest with you. People then need to know about my successes. I work with a amazingly great golf coach, golf teacher. That's the language for that industry. And he's not a professional, never been a professional, doesn't have any intention of being professional. He's had a number of professionals that have come from his program. Get to know them. I don't want to know. I want to see what they've done. I want to see their results. Now, sometimes those results are faked. I had a developer one time tell me, give me your PayPal account. I will mock up something so it looks like you're making tons of money. I said, no, you're not going to do that to me. If people need to know who I am, not who you made me look like. Big difference. Fired the guy immediately. The know, like. They need to like you. They need to like you. Now, if I have any suspicion that somebody is putting up phony pieces, I'm not going to like them at all. If I saw them blow through a page that doesn't work in a video sales presentation, and I know it doesn't work, and I've seen it broke, I'm not going to like them anymore. Right? Y'all agree with that? I had a conversation with a business owner a few years ago who said, I want you to pitch this product. And I said, the last time I looked at that product, it didn't work. Oh, don't worry about that. Use these slides and just go through this and pitch this product. I opened up the product and those same pages were still broke. Those same pieces were still broke. And he said, I don't think you're very committed. I said, the person who's lacking commitment here is not me, it's you. They need to know, you need to like them. And then, because those first 2 things lead to trust. And people trust people that are honest with them, that they like. Then they're ready to trust them. And when you trust somebody is when they give you the money. That's how you monetize this whole process. is that you work through this process. We'll talk more about that in just a minute. I got to get to the end of this list. There needs to be a robust knowledge base is necessary, whether that's delivered in an FAQ, like you'll see over, well, I've turned the FAQs off on this visible piece, but they're definitely over here. You can see this right here. This is the FAQ piece, and that's a knowledge base that's growing. And so we'll turn it on sooner or later. But there needs to be robust knowledge so that it's easy to find and it's easy to navigate. It's easy to find, easy to navigate. I see people who put their FAQ behind a question mark. Well, question mark's kind of a universal icon for help, but not everybody knows that. And oftentimes the people that you're doing business with don't know that. So what does that do? It gives them the impression that you don't have answers to their questions. Make sense? So there needs to be a robust knowledge base, and you need to make it easy for people to find things and easy for them to navigate. Number 3, there needs to be clarity in communication. Not every communication needs to be a sales pitch. Not every communication needs to be a sales pitch. And I learned that very early in my career of doing webinars, and I've done maybe 1,000 webinars. But I realized that if you make every communication a sales pitch, it's not long until people only show up if they're going to buy, and they're not going to listen to the end. Make it have value. Remember, this is all about value, right? So it has to be clarity in communication, not, and that should be ABS. Always be selling means always be hunting. If all you ever do is sell, then you're always looking for the next person to sell to. Instead, if you can pull people into your community and walk them through processes and give them knowledge without asking for their PayPal account, you can create clarity in communication. And then finally, purchase clarity. Payment processing needs to be simple. Needs to be simple, needs to be easy to do, and so on. Stores basically have the same issue. I want to talk about organic sales real quickly, and it's just these two sentences. Organic sales are those that flow naturally from the relationship built in a healthy community. They come naturally. Build a community that offers value, and money will flow naturally. That's a natural outflow of a community that is committed to providing value. Now, let me stop right there, and I'm going to walk you through some of the things that you see on the left-hand menu here and show you how some of those were intended to answer the questions that you see here. Anybody have any idea where we're going with this? Don, my question is, I'm totally different. What was your question? I'm totally different. I missed the point there. Help me so we can get to this. Okay. Watch what we have here. I've got some courses. Courses were intended to help give clarity. I've got several more that are not turned on yet. And those courses are intended to help people to discover what's going on here. What are they doing? They're getting to know me, right? They're getting to know me. Hopefully, this is what you want to do. You want to do, I call it the rhinestone cowboy marketing, where you get cards and letters from people you don't even know, but they need to get to know you. They need to get to know you. And this is how they do that. Take them through things that are helpful. Take them through little bits and pieces. I'm not charging a dime for those things. Those are intended to be beneficial. That's part of the knowledge base. That's part of the clarity and communication. Then drop down here. We'll talk about community at another time. We'll build an entire community, show you how that's done. I've given you a little video that's right here on how we go about doing that, on creating a social media lookalike, and you'll see it right here. Okay. This is actually from I had a request. Show me how your community works. And what it will do that will be better than Facebook. And I think you'll be surprised. It's only 5 minutes. Just walk through that, and I think you'll see a stark difference here. The explore area. This is intended to subtly remind people of things that are available. Hey, maybe this is something that we need right here. By the way, I've got all the content dumping here, but this is something that we need, and I want to be able to share that with people and give them an opportunity to do that. Talking about monetization, here's a place where you can monetize. Okay, I'm going to show you another example of that in just a minute. This is an entire community that has a $6 a month price tag on it. Now, that may or may not work for people, but the important thing is that they have this option is available. All right. And when you click on the get access now, it takes you to the page, explains to you what's there. We'll show you another one. The events. I don't want, now there's something here on this events I don't want everybody to take note of. And right here, what we're doing in the process of getting to know is I'm not trying to come across as I know everything. Because right here, if there is another event that would be beneficial to the community, let's share it. I'll give you a chance to share it here. And then we'll take it, we'll contact the people, we'll get it on our schedule. Okay. Important stuff. I'll give you the agenda for every one of these meetings. So these are easy to do. Do you understand how this is helping with the know, like, and trust part? Does that help you understand the know, like, and trust part and show you what value is all about? I need you to share. Okay. This helps you to get to know people. Get to know them. Now, watch this. I put this in here just so you can see that inside of a free group, there are ways to monetize that. All right. I'm not an affiliate marketer either, Don. Nor do I think everybody should be. There's a lot of hokiness about that. I'll tell you about that at another time when we talk about funnels. But this mastermind, I've identified this as a paid group. So when you click here, this is what's great about this. Instead of taking people out of the community and putting them into a sales funnel or a landing page or a video page or whatever you use to make your offers, right here. Okay, this is an explanation, very brief. I meant it to be very brief because I knew how much time I had. This is to level up your business acumen. All right. This is the key to masterminds right here. Deliberately seek the company of people who influence you to think and act upon building the life that you desire. Meet twice a month for 2 hours. Your commitment is essential. Now, once you understand what that is, now, obviously, I would make this sales page a little bit longer. I have a testimony or two in it. There's other things we can do. We can do all kinds of stuff on this page, but the page is still living where the people are. And then you click the sign up here, and look what it does. Paid content tells you what the paid content is, $100 a month. I'm not offering this. I'm just demonstrating it, okay? And then here, again, when you go back over to our agenda, you'll see this is a robust knowledge that can be beneficial. All right, it makes sense? Everybody understand where we're going? You can monetize the content by offering paid places, and this is a paid page. Okay, that page would give them access to all of the things that are part of that mastermind. So where we would store all of the additional stuff, but all of that is behind this paywall. This right here is a free page. We identify this as a paid group, but people can look at it and see what we have. All right, are there any questions before we go? So the updates for today are that I've added that short video under the resources that show you how the community works, how to create a social media type community. And then this is on how do you create value so that you can actually monetize the group. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to get rich off of it. That may not be your goal. That may not even be what you want to do. But this is a great way to do all of that in the same spot. So it all lives under the same roof. So all of the people can see the value that you're providing instead of having it scattered out all over the place. All right. Any questions before we go?